My people, Malawi has been buzzing again. The president just left parliament, and guess what? He didn't go home for tea, he went straight into interviews that turned the whole political arena into a talk show. Cameras flashing, microphones everywhere, and voices coming from all corners. Ambassadors, economists, MPs, even the business gurus. Everyone suddenly had something to say. Now, when politicians leave parliament looking confident, it's either because they nailed it or because they know something we don't. And today's vibe, pure fire. President Peter Mutharika's post-parliament moment wasn't just about policy, it was a parade of opinions, promises, and polite shades. So, today on Global Pulse News, we're breaking down the 7 biggest reactions from those interviews. Who clapped, who questioned, and who quietly side-eyed the whole thing. Expect humor, insight, and a sprinkle of Malawian sarcasm strong enough to wake your neighbor. Ready? Let's unpack these reactions like a suitcase full of politics. First on the mic, Germany. Yes, our European friends never miss a moment to say, let's cooperate. The German ambassador stepped up, smiled that diplomatic smile, and said, we're impressed by the president's outline on economic recovery. Translation, good job, but we're watching. She praised the focus on energy, agriculture, and finance, noting that development partners are ready to back Malawi, especially on social cash transfers and nutrition programs. Sounds promising, right? But let's be honest. When diplomats say we're impressed, it usually means you've had homework, but at least you submitted something this time. The ambassador added that Germany is already preparing December negotiations with substantial commitments. That's polite code for we might send money if you behave. Still, her tone carried genuine optimism. And in this economy, optimism is almost as valuable as forex. The big takeaway? International partners like Germany are willing to invest if Malawi walks the talk. APM's speech gave them talking points, but now it's action time. But from Berlin's compliments to Blantyre's calculations, let's move from foreign smiles to homegrown analysis, because Malawian economists weren't just clapping for fun. Next up, the Economics Association of Malawi. And these folks never smile unless the numbers add up. Their president, speaking right after the German ambassador, applauded Mutharika's ideas but dropped the real talk bomb. We've heard about big expenditures, but where's the revenue plan? Boom! You could almost hear every accountant in Lulongwe nodding in agreement. She dissected Mutharika's promises, free secondary education, fertilizer programs, fuel reforms, and asked the question everyone at home was whispering, who's paying for all this? She admitted that fertilizer manufacturing in Malawi could save foreign currency, but she warned about efficiency. We've talked about the affordable input program before, and it hasn't always worked. People get cheap fertilizer and then sell it to buy food. That's the Malawian loop. Good idea, poor execution. Her tone, respectful but skeptical. She wants clear financing plans, not fairy tales. And when she said the deficit already sits around 2 trillion kwacha, everyone's coffee suddenly tasted bitter. Her conclusion was honest. It's a promising speech, but implementation will decide everything. But economists weren't the only ones talking numbers. The next reaction came with emotion, passion, and a whole lot of girl power. Let's talk about the women who had 100 million for women and nearly broke into ululation. Enter Ngwenyama Inkluna Nama 5th, activist, author, and proud champion for Malawian women. When reporters asked her reaction, she practically glowed. When the president said 100 million kwacha for women, I smiled, she confessed. And honestly, who wouldn't? She connected that promise to her ongoing campaign for girl child empowerment and reforming initiation ceremonies. For her, APM's pledge was more than politics. It was personal. She said an empowered woman equals an empowered Malawi, and you could feel that energy through the camera. But she wasn't just clapping, she was calling for unity. The president spoke about togetherness. That's how we achieve the vision. Her tone was full of that Malawian warmth mixed with conviction. She wants every community, every woman, every youth group to make that funding real, not theoretical. On social media, the clip of her smiling while saying 100 million for women went viral faster than a TikTok dance. Memes popped up with captions like, when your president finally mentions your hustle. Her reaction summed up the optimism side of the spectrum: hope, gratitude, and a challenge to deliver. But while the women celebrated, another group started running calculations again, the business community. Because when government talks billions, the private sector asks, are we invited to the party or just footing the bill?
Next on the mic, the private sector. The CEO of the Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry gave the kind of answer that starts with a smile and ends with a polite warning. The president has set the right vision, she said, but the challenge is implementation. You could almost hear the echo. Implementation! That word is Malawi's favorite ghost, always promised, rarely seen. She praised the shift from government-to-government fuel procurement to open tenders, saying it could boost efficiency and pricing. But she also hinted at what every entrepreneur fears: corruption simply wearing a new jacket. Let's hope we don't replace old problems with new friends who benefit quietly. Business leaders liked the talk about industrialization and local fertilizer production, yet they want real follow-through. Because speeches don't power factories, policies do. Her parting shot was clear. If the leadership truly leads, we can have a smooth ride. Translation: boss, don't just announce, deliver. From boardrooms to backbenches, next we move to the political side of things, where members of parliament were busy turning the president's words into campaign ammunition. When the leader of the House, Jap Mango, took the mic, he sounded like a man who just watched his captain score a winning goal. The president has shown boldness, he declared, and he's sticking to what he promised during the campaign. He listed the highlights like a proud student reading top marks: food security, fuel stability, electricity, mining, health, all tied neatly to Mutharika's earlier manifesto. That's what makes us happy, he said. But Mango's real punch came when he turned philosophical. Problems in this country don't affect one person. They affect us all. So we must work together. It's that classic call for unity, the political olive branch that says, even opposition, you're invited, as long as you clap politely. Still, there was sincerity. He emphasized that development only happens when both sides of the House pull in one direction. Rare, but possible. Analysts called it Mutharika's post-parliament peace moment, a rare scene of calm amid the usual shouting matches. But politics wasn't the only fire burning. The mining sector had its own spark, with newly appointed ministers walking straight from parliament into pressure and hope. Freshly appointed and already in the hot seat, the new Minister of Mining faced a journalist who didn't waste time. "You're starting on a hill climb, right?" The minister laughed and said, "Yes, but I'm excited." Excited? That's confidence. The big news: no more exporting raw minerals. The president had decreed that every gem and mineral must be processed in Malawi before leaving. Finally, adding value at home instead of giving it away abroad. The minister loved it. We've seen countries like South Africa and Botswana benefit from their own minerals. It's time Malawi does too. He also echoed support for the open tender system on fuel imports, saying competition brings value. We must compete for the best prices. It's that balance of optimism and realism that caught viewers' attention. The clip trended with captions like, "He'll start, but full tank energy." This reaction showed how Mutharika's message wasn't just talk, it sparked immediate momentum within ministries. Whether that turns into real policy or just more press conferences, well, Malawi's watching. And while the ministers were busy smiling for cameras, the man on the street had his own thoughts, because ordinary Malawians never run out of commentary, especially when politics meets pocket life. After the interviews, you didn't need a press badge to know the people were talking. From Blantyre's markets to Mizuzu's minibuses, opinions flowed faster than mobile data. Some said, "At least the president speaks sense. Now we wait for action." Others joked, "Let's see if fertilizer and passports will appear before our next birthday." Typical Malawian humor, sharp but full of truth. Street vendors praise the push for local manufacturing. If fertilizer and fuel come cheaper, we all benefit. Teachers celebrated free education promises, while youth groups asked when those billion kwacha loans would actually reach them. The common thread? Hope wrapped in skepticism. Everyone wants progress, but no one wants deja vu. Social media lit up with memes of the president exiting parliament like a celebrity, microphones chasing him. One viral caption read, "Even Beyoncé doesn't get this press in Lilongwe." At the end of the day, the president's interviews did what they were meant to. They got the whole country talking, from high offices to home kitchens. And that brings us home, because after all the speeches, the real question remains: can Malawi turn words into results? Let's wrap it up. So there you have it. From foreign applause to local skepticism, from ambitious pledges to ground-level hopes. The president didn't just leave parliament, he walked into the court of public opinion, and Malawi gave its verdict. Cautiously optimistic, but very alert. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that promises alone don't light the bulb. Action does, and that's what every Malawian wants to see now. If you enjoyed this bold breakdown, give that like button a proper slap, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the stories that shake our nation and make the world notice. Stay tuned to Global Pulse News, where news meets nerve and every headline comes with attitude.